Hi, my name is Helen Pinkerton, Operations Manager of Prom Night Events Sydney. We're the only event management company in Australia exclusively dedicated to organising and hosting school formals at the prestige end of this market. Our surveys of secondary schools shows that more than half of the school administrations refuse to participate in formals, and some even actively punish students who try to organise one. Elliot Kleiner is the CEO of Prom Night Events and is a nationally renowned expert in the field of school formal event management. For many years, Elliot has been called upon by the state and federal government departments, police, industry associations, schools, insurance companies and teachers' conferences to provide his expertise relating to school formals and the problems which can often appear when organising them. Elliot will talk to you today about why schools adopt this stance and how to avoid the problems schools face when their students want a formal.
School principals and administrators are burdened by immense responsibility. Of primary concern is the protection and safety of their students, and a distant but critical second is the protection and safety of the name and reputation of the school itself. Now that's a hard balance to achieve, but there are some pretty talented people in these positions and they do it every day. Now although the formal isn't a recognised part of the state-approved curriculum, there's no denying that it's a really important milestone in a young person's social development and a huge icon for our culture. It shouldn't only be recognised, but it should be embraced by schools. So why are schools so frightened of formals? They've got some pretty compelling reasons. History has some pretty scary stories about antisocial behaviour, intoxication, damage and a whole range of other problems. Admittedly, these are real issues and any of them could place the safety of students in jeopardy while also placing the school in the firing line for liability if anything goes wrong. So it's kind of understandable that schools can be reluctant to get involved. Now I'm going to present some statistics and interesting facts that may shock and amaze you. If you're a student, this part probably won't be so amazing, but if you're a school official, you'd better sit down. Fact number 1, whether you know it and approve of it or not, 100% of high school Year 12 groups will conduct a formal event of some sort. 52% of schools will have a Year 10 group formal, and even 22% will have a Year 11 formal. Even if you don't permit it, even if you aren't aware of it, these events are happening. Fact number 2, even if schools don't permit it, even if schools aren't aware of it, when these events happen, the school still automatically attracts a potential liability exposure if anything goes wrong. Now let's talk about the phenomenon I like to call the ostrich mentality. If I can't see it, it can't hurt me. And that's kind of the thinking that unfortunately plagues many school administrators. If they think that they aren't directly involved with the running of a formal, and if the formal goes wrong, they'll have nothing to answer for, it's a really dangerous mindset and it's also incorrect. The best possible way for schools to avoid anything going wrong is simply follow these steps. 1. Get involved from the start. Offer the expertise and the mature guidance to help the committee source the right package at the right venue. This will avoid them being preyed upon by disreputable sharks out in the market. Believe me, they bite. 2. Seek out reputable professionals to help with the details. This means things like licenses, permits, insurances, OH&S, working with children checks, and all the legal issues relating to compliance and due diligence. Prom Night Events is such an agency. 3. Let the school administration be a collection point for data and money, so this responsibility isn't a distraction for students during critical study times before and during exams. Number 4, help work out a timeline so that the formal fits in nicely with other important events on the school calendar. To foster and care for these young people all the way to the end of their school life and then abandon them just before the finish line would be a sad shame. Let's look at a couple of myths that often bother schools. Myth number 1, that the Department of Education has sent out strict orders that no school can be in any way involved with formals. Rubbish. Complete rubbish. I personally consulted with the senior-most policy administrators of the department and they've confirmed to me that no such orders have ever been issued and that there are no plans to send out any kind of directive even similar to that any time in the future. According to the department, the principal is a senior and respected officer within the system, charged with the power and responsibility of deciding whether any event is in the best interest of their students. It's entirely at the discretion of any principal as to whether or not the school will become involved with the running of a formal. Nobody else in the system, not even the department, has the right at this stage to tell them otherwise. The district superintendents they're given all sorts of education and reference material by the state for the purpose of advising principals who come asking for that advice. But even those superintendents have no power to deny permission for a school to run a formal. It's completely up to the principal. Myth number 2, that if a school does get involved in the planning of a formal, that they have to send staff down to the event to supervise and run things to cover the school's duty of care. Rubbish. Complete rubbish. Not only have the schools and the staff no responsibility whatsoever on site at any venue during a formal, but for them to undertake any control position would actually be illegal. That's right, if you're a teacher and you try to act as security on a formal, you could get locked up for offences to state legislation. Once a school staff member steps onto the premises of any formal venue, they instantly become no different to any other guest and have no other power or responsibility whatsoever. On site, all responsibility transfers to the venue and the security staff contracted for the job. The fact that the school may approve a formal and even assist with the planning of the formal, but on the night don't really have any need to be there, let alone run anything. And if they come, they're the same as any student or guest. So here's the message for school administrators. By all means approve the formal, get involved, and come and have a great night. If you let Prom Night Events handle it for you, you'll have no legal liability exposure and nothing to do but enjoy the ride. And here's the message for school committees who aren't supported by the school. Don't worry about the school's permission and involvement. If they're not giving it to you willingly, you don't really need them. Come and see us at Prom Night Events and we'll tailor a plan that not only gets you the formal that you want, but the schools will still have the benefit of the coverage we provide, even if they don't know it.
So when your students want to arrange a formal, or if you're a committee without support from your school, you can come to us at Prom Night Events for help. We can show you a plan that not only covers all of the legal liability aspects of formals, but we also provide packages with the highest levels of multifaceted insurance in the country at no additional cost. Prom Night Events aims to provide high schools and formal organisers the highest possible standards of excellence in venues, choice, features and inclusions, while facilitating the most outstanding levels of customer support and service at the most competitive price within the industry with a 100% legal compliance.